Day, everyone. We are now on our second quarter in general mathematics, and today we will be discussing about exponential functions. Exponential function is one of the most important function in mathematics. Exponential functions are used to model populations, carbon date artifacts, help coroners determine time of death, compute investments, as well as many other applications. And today, we have these learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define exponential function, diagnose exponential function, exponential equation, and exponential inequality. Investigate the behavior of the graphs of exponential functions with its properties. Before that, magre-review muna tayo on properties of exponents. Let a and b be real numbers, variables, or algebraic expressions, and let m and n be integers. Note, all denominators and bases are non-zero. Let's start with property number 1. Sa property number 1, kung meron tayong same na base, tapos yung operation na ginagamit ay multiplication, at kung na-observe natin na meron tayong different exponents, ang gagawin lang natin ay i-add lang natin yung mga exponents na meron tayo. So you'll have a to the power of m plus n. For example, we have 3 to the power 4 multiplied by 3 to the power of 2. This is just equal to 3 to the power 4 plus 2, which is just equal to 3 to the power of 6. Is equal to 729. Now for the property number 2, kapag meron kang same na base, tapos ang ginagamit na operation ay division, tapos yung exponents natin ay different, ang gagawin lang natin, i-observe muna natin kung si m ba ay greater than kaysa kay n. So kapag yan ang case, ang mangyari ay you'll have a to the power of m minus n. Example, we have x to the power of 5 divided by x to the power of 3. This is just equal to x to the power of 5 minus 3. It is because 5 is greater than 3. So, nasasubtract lang yung mga exponents natin. So, this is just equal to x squared. Now, let's proceed sa property number 3. Kapag meron tayong a to the power of negative n, which is a negative exponent, ang mangyari niyan, pwede natin siyang masulat as 1 over a to the power of n. Kung ma-observe natin, yung negative exponent nagiging positive exponent na. For example, we have y to the power of negative 2, which is equal to 1 over y squared. Since yung negative natin, nasulatan natin ito positive exponents, i-observe din natin na yung 1 is a perfect square. Yung y is a perfect square. So, pwede natin siyang masulat as 1 over y to the power of 2. Sa property number 4, meron tayong base na a. So, kung yung base na a natin, pwede yung variable, pwede expression. Kapag meron daw siyang exponent na 0, that is just always equal to 1. But take note na si a ay hindi dapat equal sa 0. So for example, meron tayong x plus 3 to the power 0, which is just equal to 1. So property number 5, kapag meron tayong a, b, so different na mga bases na nasa loob, you'll have here a to the 1, b to the power of 1. So mangyari, yung m natin, i-distribute lang natin or i-multiply natin dito sa mga exponents na 1 na meron tayo dito. So magiging a to the power of m multiplied by b to the power of m. For example, meron tayong 5x to the power of 3, which is just equal to 5 cubed multiplied by x cubed, which is just equal to 125x cubed. Yung property number 6, kapag meron tayong a to the power of m, tapos meron tayong exponent na nasa labas. So, ang gagawin lang yan, i-multiply lang natin yung mga exponents na meron tayo. So, this is just equal to a to the power of m multiplied by n. For example, meron tayong y cubed. At notice natin na meron pang exponent na nasa labas. Ang gagawin lang yan, i-multiply lang natin itong dalawa. So, you'll have y to the power of negative 12, which is just equal to 1 over y to the power of 12 It is because na meron tayong nalelearn na property sa property 3 na kapag meron tayong negative exponent, pwede natin masulat sa ganito na form. So ito na yung answer natin. Now for property number 7, kapag meron tayong different na mga base, di ba? So you'll have A, dito naman ay B, A to the 1 divided by B to the power of 1. So mangyari sa M natin na exponent na nasa labas, madidistribute lang yan. So you'll have A to the power of M divided by B to the power of M. So you'll have, for example, 2 divided by X to the power of 3. So magiging 2 cubed divided by X cubed. So this is just equal to 8 over X cubed. Okay. So now we will proceed to our main topic, which talks about exponential function. But let's start with the question, what is an exponential function? An exponential function f with the base b is a function of the form f of x equals to b to the power of x, wherein our b here is what we consider as the base, and the x here represents the exponent. Or you can write it as y equals to b to the power of x, where our b must be greater than 0 and our b here must not equal to 1. And all real numbers, yan yung magre-represent sa x natin. And today I will show you some illustration or example about exponential function. Okay. So based sa example, notice natin merong isang infected na person. Sa isang infected na person, ang nangyari is, in a day, meron siyang dalawang interaction. Meron siyang dalawang interaction, at sa dalawang interactions na meron siya, for day 1, so dalawa ang na-spreadan ng virus. Pagka day 2, so naging 2 to the power of 2, so nagiging 4 na persons na ang na-spreadan sa virus. Pagka day 3, nangyari is 2 to the power of 3, nagiging 8 persons na ang na-infected ng virus after 3 days. So kung na-observe natin, ito yung tinatawag natin na exponential increase ng pag-spread ng virus. Okay? So, now I will show you some examples of exponential functions. We have here function f, which is equal to 2 to the power of x, function g, which is equal to 10 to the power of x plus 1, function h, which is equal to e to the power of x plus 2, and take note kapag ang base ay e, ang tawag niyan ay natural exponential function. Function r, which is equal to 1/2 to the power of x. Kung na-observe natin, itong naka-encircle lahat, ito ang tinatawag natin na base. Kung i-observe natin yung base, lahat ng mga base na meron tayo, lahat ito ay greater than 0. At ito namang mga x, x plus 1, x plus 2, at saka yung x, yan ang tinatawag natin na exponent. Okay? So now, i-identify na natin yung following if it is exponential function or not. Function g, which is equal to x squared. Observe na yung base niya ay x, hindi siya greater than 0. Hindi din siya, kundi variable siya. So, mangyari, ito ay not an exponential function. Yung function f, na-observe natin na meron tayong 2 to the power of x minus 1 minus 1. So meron siyang base na 2 at meron din siyang exponent. So therefore, this is considered as an exponential function. Yung function r, which is equal to x to the power of negative 2 divided by x squared plus 4x plus 3. As we observe, yung base natin ay hindi siya greater than 0. But instead, it is a variable. So therefore, this is not an exponential function. The function m naman, which is equal to 1 to the power of x plus 1, kung na-observe natin, yung base natin, meron tayong base, meron tayong exponents. However, ang base natin ay equal sa 1. Take note na sa definition na exponential function na dapat ang base ay hindi dapat equal sa 1. So therefore, this is not an exponential function. Okay. So now, we will differentiate or we will classify or diagnose exponential function, equation, and inequalities. But before that, magre-review muna tayo on what we called as exponential expression. So, an exponential expression is an expression of the form b to the power of x, where b is greater than 0 and b must not be equal to 1. So, the definition of exponential function, it is just a function of the form f of x, which is equal to b to the power of x, where our b here must be greater than 0, wherein our b must not be equal to 1, and we have here as an example, function f, which is equal to 2 to the power of x plus 1. So we know it's an exponential function. It is because first, it is a function. Second, we have noticed na nag-i-involve siya ng exponential expression na meron siyang base at saka meron siyang exponent. Now let's proceed sa exponential equation. It is an equation involving exponential expressions. So we have here an exponential expression at gumagamit siya ng equal na sign. So therefore, this is considered as exponential equation. Now let's proceed sa exponential inequality. It is an inequality involving exponential expressions. We have 3 to the power of 1 minus x greater than 3. Na-notice natin na meron siyang exponential expression. At na-notice natin na gumagamit siya ng inequality symbol na greater than. So therefore, this is an exponential inequality. So now, ito na yung tatlo na mga terms. We have exponential function, equation, at saka inequality. Ang tip lang dito para ma-identify mo agad, kapag exponential function, of course, it is a function. Then, titingnan natin kung yung base ba niya ay greater than 0, at saka meron siyang exponent. Pero kapag exponential equation, meron siyang meron siyang exponential expression, tapos gumagamit siya ng equal na symbol. Pero kapag inequality yan, almost the same lang talaga sa exponential equation. However, ang ginagamit na symbol na meron tayo dito ay exponential inequality. What I mean is inequality symbol ang ginagamit. Kaya makonsider natin siya as exponential inequality. Now, let's identify the following. So, for example, meron tayong 2 to the power of x plus 1, which is equal to 5 to the power of 1 minus x. Kung na-observe natin, nag-i-involve siya ng exponential expression. Tapos, gumagamit ng equal sign. So, therefore, this is an exponential equation. Yung pangalawa naman, na-notice natin na it is a function f. Tapos, meron siyang base. Meron siyang exponent. So, this is considered as exponential function. Yung pangatlo, we have here, meron tayo ditong nag-i-involve ng exponential expression. At ang ginagamit dito ay inequality symbol na less than, so therefore this is an exponential inequality. Yung pang-apat, na-notice natin it is a function g, which is equal to, meron tayong base dito na 2 at meron din tayong exponent, so therefore this is considered as exponential function. Okay, now, we will now proceed on graphing exponential functions. In graphing exponential functions, we need to familiarize the terms that has been used here, specifically the domain, the range, the intercept, and the asymptote. Ang domain of a function is the set of all values that the input or variable x can take. Ang ibig sabihin lang ng domain, ito yung mga values ng x. Yung range naman is the set of all values that y or f of x having these values will give you a general initial idea on what will the graph will look like. Or yung range, ito yung values ng mga y. Yung intercept, meron tayong tinatawag na x-intercept at saka yung y-intercept. So, ang intercepts are the points on the graph that lie on the x-axis. Yan ang tinatawag natin na x-intercept, wherein we let y equals to 0. Or y-axis when x equals to 0, so this means that this is the y-intercept. Okay, now, we will proceed in asymptote. An asymptote is the line that a graph keeps approaching but never touches it. Asymptotes can be vertical, horizontal, or oblique. Now I will show you the procedure in constructing the exponential graphs. So first, we need to find the domain and range. Second, we need to solve the x and the y intercepts. Third, we need to find the asymptotes. Fourth, we need to construct the table of values and plot the points. Fifth, we need to sketch the graph using smooth curves to complete the graph between and beyond the vertical asymptotes. So now we already know how to graph or the procedures on graphing. We will now proceed on visualizing ano yung ine-expect natin na graph kapag exponential function. So kapag meron tayong function na in this form or ito yung general form niya, ma-visualize agad natin, ay ito pala yung expected na graph. So for example, meron tayo dito, function of x which is equal to b to the power of x. Take note natin na kapag ang b natin ay greater than 1, ang domain natin dito, paano to kunin ang domain? Kahit anong values ng x natin, di ba yung domain that represents the values of the x, kahit anong isa-substitute natin, hindi ma-undefined or wala siyang restriction ang values ng x. So therefore, ang domain natin is the set of all real numbers. Sa range naman, kahit anong values ng x na meron dito, yung values ng y natin ay hindi talaga magre-result sa negative values at hindi din magre-result sa 0. Kaya we have only here 0 to positive infinity. Hindi kasali si 0. Okay? For the y-intercept, ang ginagawa lang natin sa y-intercept, we need to let x equals to 0. So if our x here equals to 0, from the properties of exponents, kapag any base na meron siyang exponent na 0, ang value niyan is equal to 1. Kaya meron tayong intercept na 0, 1. At yung graph dito ay increasing. Makikita natin mamaya bakit siya increasing. Or ito, ma-observe na natin na it is increasing. As x increases, y also increases. And our x-axis here, or y equals to 0, that is our horizontal asymptote. It will never pass through to this specific line. It is because yung values ng function na to hindi talaga magre-result sa negative or kahit man lang sa 0. And it is continuous. So, i-observe natin yung behavior ng graph. Magsimula tayo sa close sa 1, mga 1.1. So, papunta na sa mga 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 12 or any up to infinity na. So, titingnan natin. So, what have you observed sa graph? Tingnan natin ulit. Okay. As the b increases, kapag ang b nag-i-increase, kapag ang b lumalaki, ang nangyari sa graph ay nagiging mas steeper siya. Nagiging steeper ang graph. Oh? If the b here is close to 1, kapag palapit na sa 1 ang b, mas flatten ang graph na meron tayo. Okay, oh? Mas steeper kapag it is steeper ang graph kapag ang b ay na lumalaki ang values ng b natin or yung base natin. Okay? Now, let's have another form. So, for example, we have function g which is equal to b to the power of x, wherein our b here or our base is between 0 and 1. So, you could have 1/2, 1/4, 3/4, 1/8, and any values as long as nasa loob siya ng interval ng 0 between 0 and 1. So, yung domain natin, kahit na anong values ng x dito, ang answer talaga ng domain natin is just the set of all real numbers. Yung range natin, kahit anong values ng x natin, hindi talaga siya magre-result sa negative values at hindi din siya magre-result sa 0. Kaya we have here 0 to positive infinity. And for our y-intercept, we let x equals to 0. So if this is equal to 0, then we have here, which is equal to 1. That's why we have 0, 1. And kung i-observe natin yung graph, nagiging decreasing ang graph. Diba? As x increases, what happens to y? Nagdi-decrease ang y. And also, we notice that our horizontal asymptote is just the x-axis or y equals to 0. And it is also continuous. Now, i-observe natin yung graph. Simula tayo sa b, which is close to 0. Papunta tayo sa close to 1. Okay. So, what have you noticed to the graph? From steeper na graph, nagiging, anong nangyari? As b increases, as b close to 1, ang nangyari sa graph ay puma-flatten ang graph. Diba? Oh. And when b equals to 1, what happened when b equals to 1? It becomes a linear function. Kaya hindi pwede na ang b natin equals to 1 because it is not already an exponential function, but instead it is a linear function. That's why our b here must not be equal to 1. So we observe in the graph that as yung b natin, kung ang b natin ay close sa 0, steeper ang graph. Pero yung b natin close sa 1, nagiging flat ang graph natin. Or mas flat. Okay? So let's have an example of the form that we visualized a while ago. So for example, we have here function f, which is equal to 2 to the power of x. So we need to find its domain. So, ang domain nito, kahit anong values ng x, ang answer natin is just the set of all real numbers. Yung range natin is from 0 to positive infinity. Yung y-intercept, kung ang x equals to 0, ang nangyari ay ang y natin, which is equal to 1. After we have this, we need to construct the table. So, of course, mayroon tayong values ng x. Ipa-find lang natin yung corresponding values niya. So if 2 equals to 1, you'll have 2. If 2 equals to 2, you'll have 4. If you have 2 equals, or if you have your x, if your x equals to 1, so you'll have here 2. If your x equals to 2, you'll have here 4. If x equals to 3, you'll have 8. And these are the other values, corresponding values. At ito na yung graph natin. So kung na-notice natin, ang base natin ay greater than 1. Then what have you noticed? Ang graph natin ay increasing ang graph. Then na-notice din natin na yung horizontal asymptote niya ay yung x-axis. At yung intercept niya dito, na-observe natin na ang point na naglalay sa y-axis, yan ang point na 0, 1. And this is now the graph of the function f, which is equal to 2 to the power of x. And it is continuous. Now let's have another example. What if our b is between 0 and 1? So for example, we have here 1/2. So for our domain, it's just the set of all real numbers. For the range, we have 0 to positive infinity. For the y-intercept, we still have 0, 1. Why? Because if we let x here equals to 0, you'll have equal to 1. And the graph is decreasing. Why? Because our b here is between 0 and 1. And our x-axis is a horizontal asymptote. And let's try to show kung tama ba doon ng mga observation. So, construct natin yung table. So, pag-construct ng table, try natin iset yung mga x values natin. Then, isubstitute natin dito sa value ng x. So, if x equals to negative 1, you'll have an answer which is 2. If x equals to negative 2, you'll have an answer which is equal to 4. And after that, we need to graph. Ito na yung mga points. Then ito yung tinatawag natin na y-intercept And what have you noticed sa graph na to? It is a decreasing na graph. As x increases, what happens to y? Y decreases. That's why it is considered as a decreasing na behavior ng graph. Now let's proceed sa transformation of exponential function in the form f of x equals to a. Yung a natin, yan yung numerical coefficient. It represents the vertical stretching and vertical shrinking. We have here our base, which is the b, the x here, which is our exponent, and the minus c here. This represents the horizontal shifting of the graph, either to the left or to the right. At yung d na meron tayo dito, it represents the vertical shift naman natin sa graph natin. Either it's up or down. So, let's define first what is vertical stretching or shrinking. Let a greater than 0 be a constant. The graph of y, which is equal to a function of x multiplied by the value of a, can be obtained by multiplying coordinate of each point on the graph of y, which is equal to f of x by a. The effect is a vertical stretching if our a here is greater than 1, or a vertical shrinking if our a here is between 0 and 1 of the graph, which you have here y equals to f of x. So the a in the f of x equals to a multiplied by b to the power of x minus c plus d. So for example, we need to sketch the graph of function f, which is equal to 1/2 to the power of x, and g of x equals to 3 to the multiplied by 1/2 to the power of x. So itong dalawang function na to, igagraph lang natin sa isang Cartesian plane para ma-observe natin yung behavior niya. Meron tayong parent function, itong 1/2 to the power of x, na namumultiplyan lang siya ng 3. At i-observe natin anong nangyari sa graph. First, hanapin muna natin yung mga characteristics niya. So yung domain nito is just the set of all real numbers. Yung range, kahit na anong values ng x dito, ang value ng y ay hindi talaga magne-negative at saka hindi din siya mag-equal sa 0, kaya you'll have 0, positive, infinity. And for our y-intercept, we have 0, 3. Why? Because you let here x equals to 0 and you have here y equals to 3. It is because this one is just equal to 1 times 3, you'll have 3. And x-axis is the horizontal asymptote. After that, we will construct the table. So ito yung table of values ng sa function f na nakuha na natin kanina. Ito naman yung mga values naman sa function g. Nang ginagawa lang natin, isa-substitute lang natin yung mga values ng x at ito yung mag-a-arrive na answer. Pero kung meron ka ng 1/2 to the power of x, ang nangyari lang, namumultiplyan lang to siya ng 3. So 8 times 3, 24. 4 times 3, 12. Diba? So, related lang yung dalawang graph. Okay, after natin na-construct ang table, igagraph na natin. So, itong red, ito yung function g. Itong blue, ito yung function f na 1/2 to the power of x. Kung titingnan natin, kung i-observe natin yung graph, meron nangyari na vertical stretching. Obvious na obvious it is because kahit hindi mo pa nakita ang graph, alam mo na merong vertical stretching. It is because our a here is greater than 1. So since our a is greater than 1, so we have here na meron talagang nangyayari na transformation na vertical stretching. So kunin natin yung mga characteristics ng graph, titingnan natin. Kung na-observe natin, almost the same yung mga values niya sa mga characteristics niya. Nagdi-differ lang sila sa intercept, sa y-intercept. Dito, you'll have an intercept na 0, 3. Dito naman, you'll have a y-intercept na 0, 1. So, meron siyang stretching ng ilang units? 3 units. Kaya tinatawag siya na vertical stretching. Nasi-stretch ang graph. O na-stretch siya from function f. Okay? So, for our observations, the domain of the two graphs is the set of all real numbers. The range of the two graphs is 0 to positive infinity. Both are decreasing functions. And the y-intercepts here, dito ay 0, 1. Yung isa naman ay 0, 3. The graph of function g vertically stretches from function f, which is equal to 1/2 to the power of x. The horizontal asymptote of the two graphs is y equals to 0, or the x-axis. Okay, so let's have another example. What if ang a natin is between 0 and 1? So let's just say we have 1/4. Then meron tayong 2 to the power of x. So kapag 2 to the power of x, yung base na natin ay greater than 1. So kapag greater than 1, we have an idea that this is an increasing na graph. Tapos ito, meron siyang vertical vertical shrinking na mangyayari. Pero hindi pa natin na ipapakita ang graph. Pero we have already an idea based on the definition na meron siyang vertical shrinking at it is increasing. So yung domain nito is just a set of all real numbers. Yung range is just 0 to positive infinity. Yung y-intercept, kapag i-substitute mo yung x equals to 0 dito, ang answer natin is 0, 1/4. And the graph is increasing. The x-axis or y equals to 0 is the horizontal asymptote and it is continuous. Okay, so you'll construct the tables. After constructing it, we need to graph. So ito na yung graphs natin. So itong blue, ito yung parent function na 2 to the power of x. Yung function g2, which is the red one, na-observe natin na anong nangyari? Nag-shrink siya from function f. So na-shrink, di ba? Na-shrink siya. There would be vertical shrinking na nangyayari dito. Okay, so for our observations, the domain of the two graphs is a set of all real numbers. The range of the two graphs is 0 to positive infinity. Both are increasing functions. So as x increases, y also increases. The y-intercepts dito ay 0, 1. Yung isa naman ay 0, 1/4. The graph of function g2 vertically shrink from function f. The horizontal asymptote of the two graphs is y equals to 0, or the x-axis. Okay. Now let's proceed sa horizontal shift. So dito tayo nagpo-focus naman sa c. Let c be a real number. The graph of y equals to f of x minus c is a horizontal shift of c units to the right. So there would be x minus c. If c is greater than 0, that would be horizontal shift to the right. Or a horizontal shift of c units to the left if c is less than 0 of the graph of y equals f of x. So let's have another example. Sketch the graph of function f, which is equal to 2 to the power of x, function g, which is equal to 2 to the power of x plus 3, function h, which is equal to 2 to the power of x minus 3. So, pag-graph natin, before natin siya i-graph, kailangan natin yung mga characteristics niya. So, yung domain is just the set of all real numbers. For the range, we have 0 to positive infinity, na ito na siya, ay na-solve na natin a while ago. We have the y-intercept na 0, 1, we have the x-axis which is horizontal asymptote and it is continuous. Pero ito, kung titingnan natin, ang domain niya ay kahit anong values ng x dito, it will still result to the set of real numbers. Yung range natin, we have here 0 to positive infinity. For the y-intercept, so you'll have here, we let x equals to 0. So you have 2 to the power of 0 is just 2 to the power of 0 plus 3. So you'll have 2 to the power of 3, which is equal to 8. So for our x-axis is a horizontal asymptote and it is continuous. And for the function h, we have here 2 to the power of x minus 3. You'll have here for the domain, which is the set of all real numbers. For the range, we have 0 to positive infinity. And for the y-intercept, if we substitute x here equals to 0, you'll have 2 to the power of negative 3, which is equal to 1 over 8. After that, we construct the table, we find its corresponding values, and then we graph. Ito yung parent function natin, yung function f. Diba? This is 2x minus negative 3. So, ang c natin, it is less than 0. That's why kung na-observe natin sa graph, meron siyang horizontal shift na ilang units? 3 units to the left. Kasi yung C natin is equal to negative 3. 3 units to the left. So dito, 2 to the power of x minus 3. So yung C natin, na nagbe-base yan sa general formula na x minus c. So our c here is positive 3. So that means from the parent function, meron siyang 3 units. Nagmo-move siya horizontally ng 3 units to the right. Okay, so for the observations, we have here the domain of the three graphs is just the set of all real numbers. The range of the three graphs is from 0 to positive infinity. Yan lang yung values ng y natin. All are increasing function, di ba? Increasing function siya. At makikita din natin na yung base dito ay greater than 1. Kaya we are so sure that it is an increasing function. Yung intercept dito, nag-change yung mga intercept. So you have 0, 1, you'll have here 0, 8, diba? 0, 1, 0, 8, or 0, 8, 0, 1. And you'll have here the 1, 0, 1 over 8. So nag-iiba yung mga intercepts niya. The horizontal asymptote of the three graphs is the y equals to 0 or the x-axis. The graph of function h shifts 3 units horizontally to the right from the function f. And it also shows that the function g shifts 3 units horizontally to the left from the function f. Okay? Now we will proceed to vertical shift. Let d be a real number. The graph of y equals to f of x plus d is a vertical shift of d units up if d is greater than 0, or a vertical shift of d units down if d is less than 0 of the graph of y equals to f of x. Example, we have here 2 to the power of x as our parent function. We have here 2 to the power of x plus 3. And you have here 2 to the power of x minus 3 for the function h. So first, kunin muna natin yung mga characteristics niya. Ito, na-solve na natin ito kanina. Ito na lang yung next. So, function g, we have here the set of all real numbers for our domain. For the range, we have 3 to positive infinity. Bakit? Kasi, kahit anong values ng x natin, hindi man to siya mazi-zero, di ba? So, meron kang 3 na nagsisimula ka sa 3. Kasi imposible man to siya na ma-0. So that means it could be 0.01. So you could have 3. You start it as 3. You start it at 3 to positive infinity. It could be 1, 2, 3. It could be 0.5, 0.3, 0.4. Diba? So 3 plus 0.5, you'll have 3.5. So therefore, our range here is from 3 to positive infinity. For the range, what we need to do is we need only to substitute x equals to 0. So, therefore, our intercept here, it must be equal to 3. So, therefore, this is 0, 3. 0, 3 to dapat. So, meron lang technical error. So, ano to dapat? 0, 3. Our horizontal asymptote, y equals to 3. And it is continuous. So, the graph of function h, which is equal to 2 to the power of x minus 3, we'll have for the domain, which is from negative infinity to positive infinity. For the range, we have negative 3. Nagsisimula ka sa negative 3. So, ang tip lang niya, makikita mo, sure ka man na hindi to siya ma-0. So, nagsisimula ka sa negative 3. Yan yung range natin. Then, yung y-intercept, you'll have here, ilet lang natin na si x equals to 0, and you'll have the y, which is equal to negative 2, and it is the horizontal asymptote here is y equals to negative 3. Okay, so, after that, okay, let's just say na construct na natin yung table. After nyan, igagraph na natin. So, kung ma-observe na natin, nag-iiba yung, ano yung nag-iba dito? Na-observe natin na yung domain ng tatlong graphs is just a set of all real numbers. Yung range niya, nag-change yung range. Kung dito, nagsisimula 3 to positive infinity. Ito naman, nagsisimula sa 0 to positive infinity. Ito from negative 3 to positive infinity. So, madali natin siya ma-observe based lang sa d na na-add or nasa-subtract dito. Okay, then, for our behavior of the graph, we notice na all of them are increasing functions. The y-intercept here, ang nangyari sa y-intercept, nag-change siya vertically, na-translate siya vertically 3 units up, while the function h 3 units down. So kung na-observe natin, o di ba plus 3 man yan. So nangyari, from the parent function, ang nangyari sa y-intercept niya, meron siyang 3 units up. So you'll have 1, 2, 3. Ito yun, 3 units up. Ito naman, meron siyang translation na vertically down. You'll have 1, 2, 3. And you'll have here as your intercept, y-intercept. Then after that, the horizontal asymptote of the different function nag-change din. So dito, you'll have y equals to 3, dito y equals to 0, and we have here y equals to negative 3. The graph of function h shift 3 units vertically down from function f. Okay, 3 units vertically down. It also shows that the function g shift 3 units vertically up from the function f. So kapag plus 3, 3 units up. Kapag minus 3, 3 units down from the parent function. Okay? So we have here for our summary, kapag vertical stretching, our A here is greater than 1. Yan yung behavior ng graph natin. Yung transformation niya, I mean. Yung vertical shrinking, kapag ang A natin is between 0 and 1. Sa shifting naman horizontally, kapag C is less than 0, there would be horizontal shift of C units to the left. Kapag C greater than 0, you'll have horizontal shift of C units to the right. Kapag D is less than 0, you have vertical shift of D units down. Kapag D greater than 0, you'll have vertical shift of D units up. Okay, now let's try to apply what we've learned a while ago. Describe the transformations of the graph from the parent function. So for example, meron kang function m which is equal to 5x plus 5 to the power of x plus 2. So na-observe natin, since ang base natin ay greater than siya sa 1, we are so sure that it is increasing. And na-notice natin na meron siyang plus 2. So it means na meron siyang horizontal shift of 2 units to the left kasi x minus negative 2 or x plus 2. So meron siyang 2 units to the left. So, sa function f naman, kapag meron kang 1/2 to the power of x plus 2, so ang ibig sabihin nito na meron kang, na-observe natin na yung base natin is 1/2. So therefore, increasing, decreasing. This is decreasing. Tapos, meron kang plus 2 dito. So that means meron kang, ano to, vertical shift na ilang units? 2 units up. Kasi our d here is greater than 0. So namang pangatlo, you have function g which is equal to 4 times 2 to the power of x minus 6. So we have here, increasing kasi yung base natin is greater than 1. Vertically stretches 4 units kasi ito yun. Meron tayong 4 dito. And we observe that there would be horizontally shift 6. Meron siyang horizontal na shift na 6 units to the right. Okay? So, may na-learn ba tayo today? So, yung tip lang, kapag gagawin lang natin, kapag dito yung ina-add or subtract, yan yung horizontal shift. Pag dito, ito yung nagsushow kung increasing ba or decreasing, nagdedepende sa base. Kapag dito naman, ito nagre-represent sa vertical shifting na up or down. Okay? So, I hope you learn a lot for today, especially on exponential function, in diagnosing exponential function, equation, and inequalities, as well as investigating the behavior of the graph of exponential functions. Thank you, and God bless us all.